One. And we're live.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Little intro music.
Intro music. You have intro music?
Welcome to A Nice Place to Brew. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
And I'm Polly.
This is our finale episode, and we are hitting the road, Jack, as the song says. We do the webcast. We did the webcast every Thursday here on the Facebook and YouTube channel. Our past episodes are available on our YouTube page. They will continue to be available throughout in the coming future. We have no intention of taking those down. We have an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on the podcasting platforms. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com. And our social media links are on the platforms at A Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great week. George, Polly, any words before we get started on our finale?
You know, it's been a long, strange trip, and
Sure has.
I had to put into the description for this one, call out to the wonderful Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Well said. Polly, what about you?
All I'm going to say is the past year has been a lot of fun. I think I just hit my 1 year mark of the infamous episode. And and I'll tell you what, a lot of fun, and I look forward to this. I think we have a good time. But you know what? I need some time. I need some time here more at the brewery. I've been working my tail off. I cannot keep enough beer in stock right now. I think it's just all the drugs that hang out here too much. I gotta quit making such good beer.
Well, business is good, right?
Business is good.
Excellent. All right, let's get into the meat. What is everybody drinking?
I am drinking something from New Realm Brewing Company. I actually don't know where they're out of. And it is called Hazy Like a Fox IPA. It's a hazy IPA with a bunch of different hops in it. Azeka, Eldorado, Mosaic, and Citra. So, yeah.
Good deal. Polly.
I am drinking the half step from On Tour Brewing because
Okay.
I just did a 2-day collaboration with Dave. I thought he was gonna get on the show with us tonight, but he might be busy down at his brewery doing something. You never know. You know how things can happen. Oh, we got a lot to talk about. Collaboration this week was a lot of fun, and it was a very learning experience, needless to say.
Okay.
Lots of stories to tell you about this one.
All right.
I'm very eager to hear them too.
Oh yeah.
Dave is busy making beer, most likely, we think, huh?
Yeah, he probably is. I'm going to text him right now and see where he's at. But, Jason, what are you drinking?
So, it's a beer I'm excited about. It's a beer that I am a big fan of since I discovered it just a few weeks ago. And this is my last can. Last can for the last episode. So, send off to Smells Like Bean Spirit Double Maple from our friends at Microphone Brewing Company up in Elk Grove Village, Illinois.
Okay.
This was made in collaboration with Tugboat Coffee. So this is a breakfast stout ale with maple syrup and Tugboat Coffee. This is amazingly balanced, I was going to say amazingly sweet, but sweet without being too sweet. The 8% is just enough to give it plenty of bite, and this is truly one of the best stouts I've ever had. It is fantastic.
Like even
Again,
more so than your beloved Warlock?
We're not quite in that camp. Let's
Okay.
take the brakes a little bit. But
All right. Whoa.
this is one to look forward to.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to...
Oh.
I just opened it. I started an Instagram account today. I'm still trying how to navigate through that thing. That's been fun. On top of everything else I got going on today.
we do want to talk about Instagram here tonight, and we'll also mention that, of course, A Nice Place to Brew does have an Instagram page. It is devoted to home brewing and a few craft beer stops that we have along the way. And the handle is A Nice Place to Brew or Nice Place to Brew, one of the two. Just
Pretty sure it's A Nice Place to Brew.
Search for both.
Yeah.
You will see us there. Yeah. So yeah, Polly, can we let's start on Instagram. So what inspired this, and what do you hope for it?
I don't know. It's just kind of like I've always heard about it, and I don't know anything about it. I was talking to a friend of mine, Kevin, last night, and we got BSing about it. And he's like, "Why don't you try it?" And then I could just strictly have it for what I'm doing down here. Like my handle is Polly the Brewer, and I'm just posting pictures of stuff I'm doing on my day-to-day basis down here. So I don't bore everybody on Facebook. Every post is about brewing. But I don't know. It's something I've always heard it was fun, and I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm tired of Facebook, but I figured screw it, try something different. Why not? So I started the account today, and day one we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Right on.
I'm a big proponent of not using a social media thing unless I have a purpose for it. And Instagram's one of those ones where you can like share things without, it's kind of low effort content, if you will. Yeah. So, I get that way more than say Snapchat or TikTok or any of those other ones. So, yeah.
You do bring up a good point about being one of the low effort social media platforms, because running one of those is definitely a discipline. And we've learned that just from running the A Nice Place to Brew pages. The best practice is to just develop a schedule and just develop, kernels of content that you want to continuously deliver, and just be committed to keep pushing it out there. And
Listen,
I'm
bad
talking
at
to my, like I said, I'm talking to myself when I say this. It's like, this is why I'm a bad social media manager.
Yep. Yeah, we're bad at that.
Yeah, talk the talk, but not walk the walk.
So when we were talking earlier today, we were talking about which companies, craft brew or otherwise, do we feel like, are doing that right? Were you guys able to come up with anything?
So I will point out that, let me take a look here. I have to admit, I'm not prepared for that question.
Oh, okay.
But I will say Metal Monkey does a really good job with their Instagram.
Yeah. Polly, you're muted, buddy.
I don't know anything about Instagram. It's all Facebook for me. But, talk to me. Okay, I guess we can't talk again because we'll talk in person. Or if we continue on with the audio podcast.
We will.
Okay, we could do that. But yeah, it's a whole new platform. It's like 10 years ago when I started Facebook. I had no idea what the hell was going on. I still don't have any idea what the hell is going on. So it is what it is.
Well, I think, just to then kind of talk about what my impressions are is, as much as we dislike them for their practices and things, some of the major breweries are really good at it. Attracting those people that like that type of content, making sure they have that schedule going. For as crappy as their beer is, you really can't fault Coors and Miller and those guys for their marketing teams. They're pretty on the ball as far as that goes. So the rest of us are just too busy actually making good beer that we don't get a chance to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, it is true. So let's talk about brewing, shall we?
We shall. Let's do it.
All right. I brewed last weekend for the first time in 2021. Actually, you know what? No, I need to send out links. We can't talk about the project just yet.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What other filler do we have? What else is going on this week?
I did a collaboration brew with On Tour Brewing.
Do tell.
Can we talk about that?
Oh,
or
yes.
do we want to wait for when Dave comes in?
Yeah, let's do that. All I'm going to say, it was a lot of fun, and it was very trying. I'll tell you that, and very learning experience.
Is Dave's system significantly different from your own?
Yeah, well, no, he came here.
He came there. Okay.
Yeah, he said he just got slammed. I just got the message back, but we can't make it.
Okay.
He got slammed. So I can go ahead and say, well, some stuff happened this week that I've never. Well, I had a stuck mash again. No matter how many amount of rice holes we put in there, I mean, I had to like go old school homebrew style, like try to blow air through the bottom, shove air up, trying to break it free. We had 3 guys trying to break the mash up, and it was like concrete. And then we finally got it flowing, and then it's flowing, and we're all right. It took us 4 hours from mash to a full collection.
Oh wow!
Over 4 hours. Yeah, and then we got brewing, and towards the I've used LME a handful of times, but never on the scale that I had. I had to dump 30 pounds of LME. I didn't think, oh hey, maybe let's just dump a little bit at a time. No, I put half a bucket of LME because they got on our side, when you get liquid malt extract, they give you a 60-pound bucket. And that thing is every bit of 60 pounds. And you're on top of a ladder trying to lift this bucket up. And I just dumped 30 pounds of LME into the boil kettle. And then got through the boil, everything was fine. I forgot one addition to Whirlpool, but I just made up the next day. And then when it came to knockout, there was so much of that liquid malt extract on the bottom. Like, all my pump and all my tubes are all gunked up with liquid malt extract.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Efficiency was not good. And then on top of it, right when all this was going down, it's really weird. Like, Jason knows this. Like, we get a big rush the first couple hours. You get the whole after work crowd here, and the place will get busy. Like, this place was slammed at like 4:10. And then there was a group of people here. They were standing at Jason knows, George, there's a little half wall I have right here. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, as I like to call it, it's like my little, like when you're at the zoo, don't feed the brewers or don't talk to the brewers. Because I was in that mood. I was in that kind of a mood. Oh, that's awesome. So all of a sudden, I felt really bad because this girl, she runs a bar in a small town, and she's like, "Do you do tap takeovers?" And I'm like, "Don't have to talk to me. I'm not in the mood. If I would have had a curtain, I would have pulled the curtain."
Let's talk about the liquid malt extract, because I've always gravitated towards the dry malt extract for pretty much the exact reason that you are talking about here, Polly. I mean, yeah, you have to protect it from moisture, otherwise it turns into a brick in the bag or bucket or whatever that you are using. But the the flip side is when you have that liquid malt extract in any type of quantity, getting it dissolved into the liquid and making sure it doesn't get to the bottom and caramelize and burn and make sure that you're getting that incorporated. I find it's a lot more difficult with liquid malt extract than dry malt extract. What was your kind of thought process between using the liquid? Oh,
wait, we lost your audio.
Yeah, lost your audio, buddy. Yeah, well, no. It's quiet.
Muted now?
No.
What happened?
I think his headphones, something happened with his headphones.
Yeah, it could be.
Try pushing your headphones in more.
No.
No way. We can hear you. It's just real quiet. Give me a second. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So, did you get the link sent out now?
Yeah, most of them. Yeah. Let me get one more. And then, I think I can wear both hats here.
Okay.
I made a cream ale this weekend.
Yeah, you
As we
talked about that. All right.
Yeah. As we talked about on last week's episode, we are definitely proponents of brewing the same recipe multiple times as a way to fine tune your technique. And you can see just the evolution of home brewing just throughout repeating those recipes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and hopefully if you're paying attention to the right things and refining as you need, then you're going to see your beer progressively improve throughout doing that. And that's kind of where I was coming from this. So I made a cream ale that had flaked corn in the recipe for the first time last year. It was a hit. It lasted most throughout the summer, and I was sad to see it go. So this was kind of an easy decision to make this one again. And being a nothing fancy, low alcohol, low hops type beer, you know.
Is this better, guys?
Yes, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah. So hang on one second, Polly. Let him finish what he was saying there. So
Sure. So, again, easy decision to make this beer. Not the most complicated brew day, not the most complicated process. Go get the ingredients from the world famous Brew and Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois. Let's put the ad out one last time. World famous Brew and Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and got all the ingredients. No yeast starter needed because the gravity just wasn't high enough for the size of the batch. So, all right,
pretty low key.
Get a good weather day too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right, Polly. So back to you. Liquid malt extract. What's up?
So the reason why I decided to try liquid over dry is if I don't know if you can see it. If you look, remember how I had 2 barrels back there?
Uh-huh.
I have a third now that I filled today. And I was doing a Imperial Stout. And when I looked at the recipe, it called for dry malt extract. And it's called for 55 pounds. And I don't know if you've ever tried to put 55 pounds of dry malt extract into a boil.
Can't say I have.
It is the biggest pain in the ass, and I am never going to do it again.
Okay.
I would not put that on my worst enemy. Well, maybe if it was certain people, yeah. But so I was like, all right, I tried the liquid. I mean, I'm fairly new with the whole extract because, like, when I first started brewing, I went straight all grain, because I was taught how to all grain brew right off the get-go. I can count on one hand the amount of extract kits I've ever used.
Right.
And with my system here, if I want a higher gravity beer, I have to use some kind of extract. So I did a little bit, you know what? When I did the liquid after our day, and me and Dave were sitting here chatting, and it was kind of funny because we left and then we met at Chicago Street, and we were chilling, and we just kind of started talking about the brew day, bouncing ideas off of each other. So what we did the second day was we just put a little bit in at a time, So, and my efficiency, it wasn't still not what it should be according to the Beersmith calculations, but it was better than the day before. How about that?
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
So,
that stuff can be tricky.
The whole malt extract. I give you guys that started off with like extract brewing a lot of props because you guys know more than I know. I just know nothing but grain, grain and water. So that's how I get all my sugar from.
Yeah,
I'm not used
I hear
to
you.
this whole extract brewing.
Yeah, I mean, extract brewing is arguably easier. However, it has its own challenges, and making sure you get, because most extract kits are liquid malt extract, and making sure you get all that incorporated, make sure you get your efficiencies right and everything. It's not the easiest thing in the world, so definitely nothing to sneeze at. Hey, Polly, while you were talking, Brian came in with a quick question. Asked if we have any tips for decoction mashing.
You know what? I'll let you two take the reins on this one because I don't know. I've never done a decoction. I know vaguely about it. I know you guys have done a show. I mean, hell, you even did a little episode at our. Oh wow, that's warm. At the JBG.
Oh, that's right. We
yeah,
did the
we
stand-up
did.
presentation.
Me
I
one
forgot
time.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did a
It's a good time.
decoction mash back in the day. And for those of you who don't know, decoction mashing is when you do your initial mash, and it's a way of changing your temperature. So it's a step mash kind of situation. So you actually, and to increase the temperature of your mash, you take your grains out of your mash tun into another, vessel and bring it up to a boil, and then add those grains back into your mash tun. And how much you need to increase your temperature will tell you how much in pounds of grain you need to remove and bring up to boil in order to bring that up to temperature. It's more of an
it's very much a throwback to some very, very old styles of brewing.
exactly old school technique. So, as far as tips for it, Jason, do you have any? I've got one off the top of my head, but do you have any?
So I think you're going to be saving the most important tip for the end. So I'll leave that one for you. Tips: plan a very long brew day.
Yes.
It is not a quick process. You're to George's point. You're step mashing, and you're having to use your usually a boil kettle for heat over your grain bed, and using those grains to then increase the temperature of your mash. It is not only a long brew day, it's also a very tiresome brew day because there's
Yes.
a lot of manual stirring that you're doing by hand throughout that whole time. There's a lot of good payoff that you can realize from doing this properly. You can get great efficiency. You can get very clear, healthy beer out of this. Oftentimes the styles that you that incorporate the decoction styles are pilsners, some German style lagers, more specifically like Helles styles
I was gonna say a Bach.
or
Bach's
Bach.
tend to
That's
do
a
it
good
too.
example too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the last thing is, just be prepared. There's a lot of manual work, a lot of time, and a lot of stirring.
Yeah. In the primary, because a lot of stirring is what I was going to say too. Because once you have your grains in that heat source in that kettle, you can't just sit them in there and turn up the heat. You got to keep them moving. So you got to stir them the whole time, evenly distribute the heat, make sure you don't scorch your grains, and keep them moving in there. So when you add them back in, you're adding evenly distributed heat. And as Jason was kind of alluded to, the most important tip I have is get you some brew dogs, because there's an old rule: you can't do more decoctions than you have brew dogs. So
They have to align. That's right.
They have to align. So if you have 2 dogs, you can do 2 decoctions, and
That's right.
that's what we did. So yeah.
I've heard when I first learned about decoction mashing, it was talking about a Pilsner brew day. And the recommendation for that was a triple decoction. And forgive me, I think the temperatures that you were supposed to land at was 112,
Probably.
122, and then 148 or something like that. And they said during the podcast I was listening to, plan for about a 9-hour brew day.
Yeah.
So
And
that kind of gives some context to what this looks like.
well, and the biggest reason why we're saying plan for an extended brew day is because you have to add the time of when you're boiling those grains, because you cannot typically when we put something in, is even if we do an infusion mash and we add more water to it, you're still doing a 60-minute mash. Well, you're doing a 60-minute mash, but you're doing it with significant breaks in the middle while
Right.
you pull those grains out, bring them up to temperature, and put them back in. So a 60-minute mash becomes like a 2-3 hour mash, depending on how many decoctions you're doing.
Exactly.
And that's so you're in for a long day.
Report back to us. If you decide to do this, I'd be happy to listen to how it went, and if you're pleased with the finished product.
Yeah. Okay. So Doppelbock, that's a good style for this, Brian. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But you definitely will not need to hit the gym later. So, and last tip, Brian, I don't know if you brew with a brew partner, but I would suggest it in this case. You're going to
Absolutely.
be dealing with a heavy amount of wet, hot grains, and trying to get that back into your mash tun might be a bit of a challenge otherwise. So,
Great question.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
everybody who's listening, we are taking all home brewing questions tonight. If you leave a comment,
Oh, I like his comment. He's got
we
3
will
teenagers.
answer it here on the show. So please
Yeah.
keep it coming to us. Thank you, Brian, for the question.
Yep, 3 teenagers should do it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're young.
All right.
They can get a workout.
Yeah.
For my brew day this past weekend, I did not do a decoction. I'll give some details about the recipe. It's a mixture of 2-row, flaked corn, honey malt, and carapils. Carapils I always use just for the added head retention. Centennial and Saz were the hops. Centennial for the 30-minute bittering edition, and Saz is a 10-minute aroma edition. Cream ale, of course, is not a hop heavy beer, so that's really all it needs.
Yeah.
The mash schedule was a single infusion at 148 degrees. I did a 10-minute mash out to bring the temperature up around 168 degrees, and then had a 2.8 gallon sparge from that. My pump did not work
Oh, no.
during my brew day, so I had to do everything by hand, which I was not entirely prepared for. And on a non-brew day, I'm going to have to put a little test together and see if I can figure out what I did wrong and what's fixable. So, Polly, you may hear something about that at some point.
Oh yeah, I'd love
That's-
to hear this.
That's a
Yeah.
bummer, man.
Yeah, it was. It
So what
was.
happened with your pump?
I
Just
don't
wouldn't
know.
fire up.
No, yeah, it just it wasn't. It didn't send the liquid up through the out.
Was it not
Outdoors.
priming?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have quick connects on your hose?
I do have the quick disconnects. Yeah.
So you know what? I have that problem with my riptides out here. I know you have a chugger. Like
Uh-huh.
I have sometimes what I gotta do is I gotta take the quick connect on the discharge
Yeah.
and just open it until water flows through. You might
Yeah.
have an airlock. You may have
Yeah,
had
you-
airlock at that time.
Yeah.
That makes
so
a
it
lot of sense.
creates like a little vacuum kind of thing in
Yeah.
there, and the water can't flow through.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The other thing I've done, Polly, is make sure the pump is lower, and I've turned, if it's not doing anything, I've turned it off. And sometimes that's enough to allow the liquid to get in
Yep.
and prime enough, and then plug it back in and it starts running. I don't know if you tried that or not, Jason.
I did not.
Yeah.
And actually, these riptides, I just realized I'm learning more and more about these riptides all the time. They actually have a vent, like a little, like the,
That's nice.
Well, you have that little relief valve on our corny kegs.
Uh-huh.
They have the same thing. We just pull it up, and it'll bleed the air out of the system.
Yeah, I want one of those Blickman. If we start an Amazon wish list for the podcast, that's going on there to my house.
I hear that.
And believe it or not, they're pretty cheap. At
Yeah,
least
they're
I
not
don't
that
know.
bad.
They're cheaper than chuggers. I know that.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know about that.
Well, what are chuggers going for?
I think chuggers are like 120.
Okay, mine was 135.
Okay, so they're similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I maybe it's because I call Blickman direct on the pro side. Like, it's only $135. I'm like, yeah, I'll take one. Because after I had the debacle with my pump going down on the brew day, and I was dead in the water, they finally, after I finally got my new motor, I finally got my replacement pump. So now I have a brand new chugger pump sitting in my storage room. So if one of these bitches go down, I'm
There you go.
changing it out right then and there.
There you go.
And then I'll
That's
call
awesome.
them Blickman again, and I'll get another free motor and make sure they send me the right one instead of the stupid European one. And Jason, I showed
can't-
you that one.
I was there. I watched it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I can't believe that came to you like that.
Yeah, that's no good. So, Jason, quick question about your cream ale. So, when you redo something like this, you have one of two options. You can either tweak the recipe based on what you remember and what you want to change, or you can make the same recipe exactly and try to see if you can, do it better or get consistency. Which way did you go?
So same recipe, nothing changed.
Okay, so
This brew day was all about refinement and just making sure that I had, the best technique that I could have.
nice.
In the absence of pumps, but that's just where I was. So,
Yeah.
but that's fine. I've done more than my share of batches without pumps, so no problem.
Okay.
So I did the water addition. I did this, did the mash out, did the sparge. I think the recipe called for a original gravity of 1044. I think was what the recipe had for pre-boil.
Okay.
And my reading was 1047. Yay!
Oh,
I'm doing
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I did take a lesson away from this that I'm going to get into. So I cut off the sparge at a volume of 6.5 gallons. Just because I was pleased with the pre-boil gravity, and I'm just like, the more sparge water that you're putting in there is only going to drive your gravity down, and you may just be leaving yourself with excess volume. So I'm like, okay, I feel good about this 6.5. I'll boil off a gallon during the boil, and there'll be some junk left over that won't carry over to the fermenter. I should be good for a 5-gallon batch. I think I'm good. So I did, and that turned out to be not quite the right decision, as some things followed. So one of the things that you will find when you're building an equipment profile is there is a number that goes into your equipment and and everything as far as a boil off rate. And I unfortunately in this underestimated my boil off. That, and I feel like I kept my boil much more aggressive than it should have. So while I should have lost a gallon to a gallon and a half with a slow, steady boil, which is what it should have been, I lost almost 2 full gallons in the boil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was unexpected. So I'm fermenting right now what looks to be 4-ish gallons, maybe a little bit more than 4, but yeah, it's not going to be a 5-gallon batch.
So did you have you said that, so what was your pre-boil was 1047, is that
1047, yeah.
So was your OG super high?
Higher than expected. Yeah.
Okay.
1063, which is off style for a cream ale.
Okay, so it's an imperial cream ale.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, listen, I think it's going to be very presentable. I'm not concerned about that, but I would not submit this in a competition for a cream ale. The alcohol is just going to be too strong.
Sure.
An American ale, maybe.
Okay. It's interesting. Okay, yeah, I that's one thing I'm very careful about. It's because I've got a nice big, broad kettle. I'm very careful about how aggressive my boil is because I don't want to boil off too much like that. And it's, it's sometimes easy to do to get too aggressive of a boil going. There's kind of that fine line.
Very easy.
Yeah. So,
have you done the math for the hop? I think he meant to say absorption during boil and dry hop.
I think probably absorption. Yeah. I've not. I've let calculators do the math on that one.
Yeah. That's above my head.
And if you're talking about water absorption, like how much the hops are going to absorb water and you're going to get loss around that, if you're using pellets, it's relatively minimal. It does exist.
I think what he's talking about is the IBU.
Well, that's the utilization numbers.
Yeah.
And I also typically let the calculators do that. I have done it by hand once or twice just to make sure I understood the math, but I, just let calculators do that. But if you are talking about water absorption, the only time you really need to worry about that is if you're using whole leaf, and then it is significant. So.
Yeah, I come back from the bathroom on this question. I'm like, hop abortion. I'm like, the hell's going on here?
Yeah. So he said, how much water is what I was going to. So I'm assuming you're talking about absorption.
Okay.
And again, with pellets, it's going to be minimal. it's gonna a little bit is gonna be absorbed, but mostly that's gonna be calculated as true loss versus hop absorption. So.
All right, I'm glad I was able to clarify that during the conversation because I'm like, I'm so confused on this question right now.
I've never heard that term before.
I'm gonna have to start using that one, hop abortion. I'm gonna put that in my notes and use it on a brew day and see what my owner says. See what Tina says about that one.
Don't know if I'd recommend that.
I probably no, I won't do it, but still, it would be fun to do it. Just to get the hell is a hop abortion? I can hear it right now already.
So yeah.
Polly, let's talk about your collab.
Oh
Yeah, man.
So we did a New England IPA, hazy, whatever it is. Hold on, I'll go grab the. Oh, do I have it here? No, I gave him a copy of it. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
So I did a refined version of Pollys Truck. I had I know you guys have heard that if people have watched before, I had to do I had to scale back my grains because like I don't know if I've ever said this on the show before, but one of the biggest challenges right now from being a home brewer to a glorified home brewer on my nice little pro set. I'm trying to like figure out because like when you're making recipes, like it's all at least your base grain, it's all full sacks of grain because you don't want a bunch of half sacks laying around.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
believe me, I know the feeling.
It's all like so like when I'm honestly when I'm making recipes, I'm still doing it homebrew style, and then I scale it up, and then I make my my adjustments from there. So, like, example, like, I'll be like, okay, let's say you need 150 pounds of base grain. Well, that's 15 pounds shy of 3 bags. So, screw it. I'm putting the extra 15 pounds in. What's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, no, my beer's going to be a little bit higher in alcohol. I think people will be okay with that.
Yeah.
And then, I guess the biggest thing is you just got to know what your mash tun can handle. Well, I didn't know what the mash tun could handle with Pollys Truck the first time I did it. And I had to take 30 pounds of, I hope, just base grain out. Because, I know Jason's seen the picture. Like, I was like, my water level was like 2 inches from overflowing.
Ooh, that's good.
I had, so I did it, and it went real well. We used we used some Pilsner malt because I read somewhere because like when I did mine initially, I used Golden Promise because I love myself some good old Simpsons Golden Promise. But then I read somewhere that and I was noticing on recipes, at least from the previous brewers here, they all use Pilsner malt. So I was like, let's give that a shot. So I used some Pilsner malt. I used flaked oats and flaked wheat, unmalted wheat. My secret weapon here, which I try and put in every beer, is Golden Naked Oats. And my hops were, besides the liquid malt extract, my hops were Citra, Mosaic, Cryo Palisade, Galaxy, and Amarillo and Sultana.
Okay.
That's a pretty good hop combination right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. And, I did the Kvik, and last time I checked, let me see if I can see it. Oh, I did Kvik, and I pitched it at mid-90s, and last time I checked right before I got on the show, it was at 95 degrees. I came in the next morning, it was bubbling away, and then we filled it again, and it was bubbling away, and then the next day, I got gout, and every now and then, like when I get stressed out, and these past 2 brew days were very stressful, I had a gout attack yesterday, and so I had, I'm feeling better now. But I had my buddy Bill that we had on the show. I don't know, was it like 6 months ago? The Chaos guy, and part of the JBG. He came down because he was Actually, this guy, I know Jason saw this, but you know how they got that bronze medal at Drunk
Yes.
Monk?
Yep.
You know what they're doing now? Bill bought a barrel from Northern Kentucky. He rented a van, and he's in Northern Kentucky right now. But
Picking up a
picking
barrel?
up- yes.
I'm jealous, and this reminds me of so many conversations that I've had here about doing that same thing, about renting a truck, going down to Kentucky, buying a barrel, and drive back home.
So
No, there's been many of these conversations.
I believe it.
and it was kind of funny because he came down yesterday, and we were hanging out. So I had him do my high Croisen hop. And Jason, you got that video I sent you, so he could
Yep.
Cue
Keep
it up.
talking. Keep talking. It's coming.
and
Right
you
now.
would not believe it was already bubbling away, and then we added 2 pounds of cryo palisade. Oh wow, it made a mess. It was going crazy. I mean, we were half tempted to just maybe put a bigger bucket in, less sanitizer, with the mess that made. And then it calmed down towards the end of the day, and then actually, Bill asked me something I thought I was very humbled / like honored for him. He asked if what I would think about contract brewing. So I told him to talk to the my owners. He wants to come and pay to use our system and just make the work and do a no chill and bring 12 corny kegs back to Chaos and let them ferment.
Oh wow. Okay.
So all he's gonna do,
12.
well, because you got I think he said he got a 55-gallon barrel, and we all know the ghost share because not every one of them is going to be a full 5 gallons.
Right.
And at first he was saying he wanted to do it all buckets. I'm like, I wouldn't do that because you got that head space and everything else, and
Right.
like maybe just get some corny kegs. And he liked that idea. So now I got to talk to my owners tomorrow. They weren't here today. Actually, my owners all week have been, Steve and Tina this week have been awesome. I need stuff, they go get it for me. They went and bought we've been so busy and running out of beer. We had to buy beer the past 2 weeks from other breweries.
Oh wow.
We had to buy it.
Oh.
Dude, you look at my cooler, Jason, it is barren. We
Jeez.
have 3 maybe 4 beers that we're allowing crawlers to go home with.
Sounds like the brewer needs to get on it.
I got full tanks, asshole. Piss off.
All
No,
right.
If you got full tanks, then I think you're doing your job, and I think that demand's going to be met. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? I'm going to see if I can change my audio before I change this, before I play this.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, it was crazy watching that thing go off. Actually, I sent this to Dave
Oh,
yesterday.
come on.
Computers. Oh, I don't know. What does that say? Oh, what's that screen? What's that? Oh, you're on Facebook. Get off Facebook. Are you on Facebook?
We
during the show?
don't. We didn't. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh,
Oh,
we can't
my.
hear. Yeah, but look at how crazy that was going. That was right
that's
after I
nuts.
added 2 pounds of cryo palisade. And it only did that for like maybe 15, 20 minutes.
So that was after you added the Palisade, which meant that you just got such a reaction inside there that it started pushing out CO2 that much more.
Well, I've noticed that a few more times because every time I do a hazy, I did never really notice it on the homebrew side because maybe I would add it and then go do something else. But now that I'm dealing with, not 5 gallons, I'm dealing with 5 barrels of it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot more hops, a lot more liquid, a lot more yeast. And yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this. And, they always say about the Gavik stuff, you could get a beer finished in 5 days. Well, Tuesday was the second day and it's slowing down, but it's still fermenting. And hold on, let me check.
I wonder if the
I'm still at 95 degrees.
okay.
I'm still fermenting at 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
I wonder if the adding the hops in adds nutrients or minerals or something that really kind of energizes the yeast, and that's why you get that reaction the way you do.
I think it's because you get a little bit more oxygen and the chemical reaction between the hop oils and the yeast do it. Because when you think about it, the only beer out there that you do a high Kreuzen hop addition is a New England or
It's
a hazy.
yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do your double dry hop, as they like to call it, you actually, instead of keeping that blow off tube, I'm going to close this vessel up. And a little bit of CO2 that will come out, you keep it in there and it absorbs back into the beer.
Right.
And
So have you noticed it being like slightly carbonated after you do that?
Not really, because I just, like when I take readings, I always degas my beer.
Okay.
Because that's one thing that Brian taught me years ago is you should, when you're taking your final gravity reading, because beer has a little bit of, like fermented beer has a little bit of carbonation in it, you got to degas it, which you take your sample and you dump it back and forth into like another cup or pitcher 10 to 12 times. And then you'll see all the carbonation come out of it. And then you can get an accurate reading.
Okay.
You guys ever done that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We did that too with, do you remember when we brewed with Joel, Jason?
I do.
Yeah, we did that then.
I don't remember that part though.
Okay.
I mean, this is bringing back things to my mind about aerating wort.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like I've heard this brought up in the context of a gravity reading.
Yeah, I don't typically do it in a gravity reading, but that might be because I typically for final gravity use a refractometer and then use an adjustment calculator. So
For final?
Yeah,
Really?
you can do it. You just have to feed in what the original gravity was and one or two other things, and then it'll tell you based on the actual reading you got, the visual reading, what the actual bricks or final gravity is in there. And
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, those calculators are built into like Brewer's Friend, Beersmith, what have you.
See, like what I do, and Jason can attest to this because maybe I'm just stuck in my ways. I only use a refractometer on the hot side.
Yeah.
When I get my OG, I'm pulling off my tank.
I get that.
I'm taking a hydrometer reading. That's what I'm doing.
I get tired of breaking hydrometers.
Oh, it sucks.
I shouldn't. No, I'm not going to say it. Oh, because no. Because I know I'm going to jinx myself.
Yeah, don't say it, man.
Stop. Because then I'm going to do it. And I remember I get like I inherited a bunch of stuff from the other brewers, and our buddy Brian from Impossible came by, said he needed a hydrometer, so I gave him. I had like 3 hydrometers in my drawer of my desk, and it was weird because they went from like, what's the highest bricks, 25 or 30? It went down to
it sounds about right.
Yeah,
and it went down to like 10 or 15, and then that went from like down to like 5 or 10, and then that down to 0. It was 3 separate hydrometers for the different types of bricks it was. I've never seen that ever in my life.
Yeah, I accidentally ordered, but I held on to it for some reason. What was it called? A trail, basically a spirits hydrometer.
Oh, a proof hydrometer.
Proof and trail, yeah, and so I held on to that just in case down the road I decided to make moonshine or something.
Well,
so.
You are in Virginia.
I'm in the right place for it.
You're in the right
exactly.
place to do it. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like to get back on the collab, it was a great time. I look forward to being able to go up there and drop off kegs and hang out in the city, and just go hang out in the brew district. So. I'm sorry, George. I feel like I'm not involving you because you're all the way in Virginia.
You're
so,
Jason, all right, man.
Jason, when we do it, I'll let you know. You have to come up and hang out at Dave's place. I'm dropping 5 kegs off. It'll probably be a Saturday.
Sure. Count me in.
All right. I'm telling you, George, when you get down here, you might as well plan a couple days. I'll plan a brew.
Well,
day.
apparently
Oh, that is
in
happening.
mid-July, I'm going to be there for
Yeah.
about a week. So.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Send me some dates, and I'll tell you what. Send me some dates, and I as long as my computer don't crash, I still have the recipe. I'll scale it. I'll scale the recipe we built together, and we'll
Okay.
brew that here.
Okay. Sounds good.
It would be a lot of fun because so we could do the audio podcast. People can't see our happy asses, but they can listen to us.
Exactly. All right. What else we got before we close out?
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's been a
everything
long
for me.
week. Nice
Yeah,
seeing you
Yeah,
guys.
it has.
Sorry,
Yeah.
everybody. I hope I see you all in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Other forms of social media.
Well, you got an Instagram. You can follow
do.
Polly
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Polly
it
the
Pa-
Brewer.
Pollys
Polly the
Brewer. I
Brewer.
love it. That's a great name.
I really think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our videos will remain on our YouTube page. So check out our YouTube page. We've got 60 plus episodes going back to the beginning of COVID-19. We got a lot of homebrewing dialogue on here and a lot of just miscellaneous talk. So it's not going anywhere. So check us out. We'll continue. We'll keep the knowledge coming to you through the older episodes. We'll continue with the audio podcast as well, available on all the podcasting platforms. So check us out there under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew. And check out our website, www.aniceplacetobrew.com. And on the social media links, we will keep those updated as well throughout our home brewing and craft beer activities. Thank you, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day. I hope opening day is going great for your team. Go White Sox as we
Piss
play
off,
our
we
first game
lost.
at 9:05 tonight on the West Coast. We're starting off the year on a road trip, and
We play in Seattle or Anaheim.
Anaheim. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Is this really it, guys?
Is this really it?
I think it is. Sorry, I'm so busy down here. There's a million things I could be doing. As soon as I get done, I'm going to go do a couple other things.
Well, I guess you may or may not see us back here next week.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
May or may
All
not.
right. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you so much for all your support. If you have not liked and subscribed on our YouTube page, please do. And before we send this out the last time, we raise a glass and we say,
Takes
it
a lot
takes a lot of good beer.
To
Finish
make
off.
great beer.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.